Hello everyone, welcome back here into Cayden's Weather Center. In today's video, we're going to continue to pay attention now to Hurricane Melissa as it got upgraded from a tropical storm this morning here, posing a major rainfall threat to parts of Haiti, Dominican Republic, and Jamaica. Expected a possibility for a major hurricane landfall here in Jamaica. We're going to dig deeper into that on the possibilities of some major rainfall with the landslide threat. Who could be impacted the worst? We're going to go over that here shortly. Also paying attention to a slight severe weather risk today with a small tornado chance continuing on over here in Louisiana and Texas, and we're going to continue to pay attention to that as well. If you do like this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and if you do have any questions, make sure to leave it down in the comments. But let's hop right into the video. Hello, welcome back here into Cayden's Weather Center. Today is October 25th, 2025. Currently, right now, going to be concerning all of our, kind of focus is going to be on Hurricane Melissa here, but right now let's just touch up on what's going on around the United States as well as a little bit of that severe weather threat today. Taking a look here around the United States, what are we currently looking at here? Well, we're expecting a severe weather risk today kind of down here in parts of Louisiana and Texas. We're going to kind of see that here as we go later on throughout the rest of the day here. We see a little bit of a low pressure kind of, continuing on with that little spin that we're kind of seeing here. The severe weather threat is more on the southern side here on this specific storm right over here, so we're going to continue to pay attention to that as well. Still watching that low pressure that's also off the northwestern part here of the United States that is continuing to bring some heavy rainfall at times into parts of Oregon and Washington, as well as some possibility for some snowfall kind of happening on the mountains, specifically here for Washington and Oregon. So we're going to continue to kind of pay attention to that very, very closely. Let's take a look at the satellite picture here. What are we currently looking at? Well, obviously we've seen some thunderstorms kind of form earlier over in the overnight hours. Now kind of just drop down a little bit, but expecting to hop back up here in the next coming of hours. We're going to see a little bit more of that red kind of with those higher cloud tops and some pretty big thunderstorms expected in that general area. There's that spin right off the coast there. That's bringing obviously a lot of moisture that's coming in here to the western part of the United States. So that's going to be a little bit of a rainfall threat for some areas there, but nothing too major. Taking a look here at the severe weather risk for today, what we can see, we have a slight weather risk continuing on down here in the south. That's with that low pressure system that's kind of sitting right over here of the central part of the United States. But the tornado threat is going to be about 5% chance here for Louisiana here heading into Texas. That does include New Orleans, Louisiana, and Houston, Texas there. We're going to continue to pay attention to that. The wind threat will continue on as well with the hail threat, but I do want to say even up here in the northwestern part here of the United States, we do have that marginal risk with the possibility here right on the coast here of Oregon and parts of Washington. That tornado threat will be a 2% chance. So once again, cannot rule out maybe a couple water spouts or anything like that. Taking a look at the future radar, what are we currently looking at here? Well, we could see, taking a look at that, we're going to see kind of the thunderstorms that we're kind of looking at right now. They're going to fizzle out as they move off over here to the east, heading into Mississippi. These are going to be some pretty big storms to kind of pay attention to as we head into the evening hours today. We're going to see some storms really start to kind of ramp up here, and we're going to see a little bit of available energy kind of get pulled up from the Gulf here, and that's going to kind of bring a little bit more of a thunderstorm activity kind of here into the central Louisiana area. We're going to kind of pay attention to that as that continues to move off to the east there. As we head into tomorrow here, we're going to be seeing some pretty big thunderstorms kind of going through the New Orleans area, even into Jackson, Mississippi. We're going to be seeing these storms continue to move off to the east. Still, some of those storms coming in from the Gulf as well. Let's take a look at what the GFS model run here is looking at. Well, we're obviously seeing over here in the northwestern part here of the United States, snowfall is going to be happening on those higher elevations in those national parks as well in the mountains. We're going to be seeing that. We're going to be seeing that, severe weather threat obviously here by the GFS. We're going to see it kind of continue on moving to the east here over the next couple of days. That's going to bring some rainfall here into possibly the Florida Peninsula going through Georgia as well. A little bit of mix could also happen here in Washington as we go on throughout, kind of maybe later this week here. Or earlier next week. A little bit more of a rainfall threat continuing on through the central part of the United States as we head into next week. And that will definitely, the GFS picking up on a pretty big, interesting storm here that could really happen here, stretching all the way from Maine going into North Carolina, bringing the possibility of snow here on some of those elevations there in Virginia, stretching down even into North Carolina. So we're going to continue to pay attention to that very, very closely as well. Let's head into the tropic side because obviously this is going to be our main concern right now today. Here is Hurricane Melissa. It was designated as a hurricane earlier this morning now, coming up from tropical storm, moving at 1 mile an hour here. So not moving very quickly, and we've already have seen 3 people unfortunately have lost their lives. due to Hurricane Melissa. A lot of that rainfall is going to continue as well in the Dominican Republic and in the Haiti area. So still, we're keeping an eye on that as we've already had some pretty big flash flooding continuing on with Melissa. There's Hurricane Melissa right now. You could see moving 1 mile an hour, moving west-northwest there. We're continuing to see that 980 millibars starting to strengthen here, get its act together. 75 miles an hour is going to be the maximum sustained winds right now that we're continuing to look at. There are hurricane warnings out for Jamaica here as the storm will eventually turn its way up to the north. We still have hurricane watches continuing on for western part of Haiti, but we have tropical storm warnings issued for western part of Haiti, and you kind of can see the reason why. We're starting to see a little bit of those tropical storm conditions kind of staying. Most of it's going to stay offshore, but we're still seeing some tropical storm winds kind of making their way onshore as well, and that's obviously going to be bringing some pretty big surf as well. But Jamaica, you guys are expected to get a major hurricane here. Just by Tuesday, we're expecting it, and it's going to stall out here. It's not going to be moving very quickly. We're already starting to see the rain in Jamaica, so there's going to be a lot to kind of pay attention to, and obviously we know that this is going to be our main concern, is this rainfall threat that we're kind of already looking at here. This pink area right here that you kind of see, let me see if I could change the color here. This pink area that we're kind of seeing here, that's going to reach 20 to 30 inches of rain that you could clearly see, 30 plus in isolated areas here of parts of Jamaica and parts of the most western part of Haiti, and then even isolated of 20 plus inches here in parts of western Dominican Republic. So we're going to continue to kind of pay attention to that very, very closely as well. The GFS model run, we're kind of seeing it kind of, still kind of making a landfall here in eastern Jamaica, but still, no matter what's going to bring some heavy rainfall here, but expected to make that landfall as a major hurricane. Not as strong as what I would say it was saying yesterday, but brings it into eastern Cuba as well. It does. The GFS does say it gets stronger after it's made it through Jamaica, obviously, because we know that the mountains are going to really limit the development of a more stronger system here. But then possibly getting to 939 millibars here, just in between Jamaica here and Cuba. So we're going to kind of pay attention to that, as that will eventually race off to the northeast there. So that's something to kind of pay attention to. The Euro model kind of saying generally the same thing, stalling out a little bit more, bringing more rainfall, and then really going to rapidly intensify once again once it gets in between Cuba and Jamaica, but not as strong as what the GFS is saying right now. Now, obviously, this is our main focus is going to be the rainfall threat here. We could clearly see with the rainfall, we are expecting a lot of rain here to eastern Cuba as well as eastern Jamaica here. And you could definitely see that majority of it is going to be on the eastern side here of that storm, as well as majority of the rainfall and the worst of the weather is going to be on the east side of that center. Taking a look at the Euro model, what we're kind of looking at with that, well, we're obviously expecting the storm to kind of follow the same path. We're getting a lot of more kind of what's it called? A lot more sustainability on what the models are trying to say here. We know that the models are bringing it up here to the north into Cuba as well as the Jamaica here. We know that they're going to be pretty accurate now, making their way. Obviously, there could be a little bit more shifts off to the west as well, or even off to the east. It all depends on when it gets pulled up to the north. But all models are kind of, generally saying the same thing at this time. The Euro model is keeping a little bit more rainfall here, kind of more on the eastern side, maybe not as much rainfall as the GFS, but we are definitely expecting a lot of rainfall due to the system, kind of stalling out here in the Caribbean. Let's take a look at the satellite picture before we end the video here. Look at that spin right off the northwestern here part of the United States, obviously bringing in those thunderstorms and all of that and that severe weather threat. But absolutely beautiful system that we're kind of seeing out there. We're also continuing to see, obviously, our severe weather threat that's going to happen later on here, but a lot of cloud cover with this low pressure that we're seeing here, stretching all the way into the central part here, stretching all the way from Ohio, really going into the central part here of the United States. So, obviously it's going to be a rainy couple days for a couple people, but not, other than that, it's going to be very, very nice for several people. But obviously, if you do live in Jamaica or even Haiti or Dominican Republic, please make sure you are following your local weather services as well as the National Hurricane Center. But I just want to say thank you guys so much for all the support on my last 2 videos on Tropical Storm Melissa, now Hurricane Melissa. But thank you guys so much for all that support. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Make sure to stay safe out there. As well, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you do enjoy this video, and make sure to leave any questions down in the comments down below about any weather in your area. I will answer them to the best I possibly can. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe out there, and bye-bye.